Welcome to the United We Scan podcast, the podcast by rural carriers for rural carriers. The views expressed in this podcast are of the presenters and the presenters only and do not represent the views, opinions, or strategies of the United States Postal Service or the National Rural Letter Carriers Association. We ask that you please consult your assigned union representative for guidance in your local area. Please like this podcast, share with your fellow rural carriers, and subscribe to be notified each time a new episode is uploaded. Also, please leave a comment or question for us below. Thank you. Now, here are the hosts of the United We Scan podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 82. So, we're kind of going to go over some news, some views, and that pesky rural route optimization that we've all been hearing about. What could really go wrong? Well, you never know. How was your week, James?
Oh, it was a pretty normal week, although Tuesday, my bell curve for my packages went way down because I only had 37 scans. Rest of the week, I was over 100, so I averaged about 70 for the week with that bell curve. But Monday was heavy, had a political flyer in the DPS, which helped a little bit. Tuesday, I had the Val packs in there. That helped with organizing that. But the rest of the week, it was normal mail volumes. Of course, finally got the information on the RRO. And then my charging cable for my laptop broke. My cat knocked it off my bed and it bent to hell and broke the little tip off the part that sticks in the laptop. So I had to order a new one on Amazon. Got it 1 day shipping, and Amazon delivered it. Of course, the box was small enough to fit in the mailbox, so that explains why Amazon delivered it. But otherwise, it would have probably been through the Postal Service if it wouldn't have fit in the mailbox. But then got to this weekend, Saturday, I read the entire rural route optimization PowerPoint slides that were on the Union website, as well as all the other information on there. So that way we could talk about it on this episode. But then today, mowed the lawn. About an hour later, had a huge downpour that I had to leave after it rained to go pick up some things. And went a half a mile down the road and went from completely soaked pavement to completely dry pavement. It was one of those spotty, like Florida showers. So, but ready to get this next week started, ready to get headed to National Convention. I'm organizing everything for that now. So, other than that, how was your week, Toasty?
The week was pretty good. Couldn't complain. It started to get a little cloudy around here. We got a little bit of rain off of Hurricane Barrel. So it helped with my lawn a little bit. It kept it under 100 this week, thankfully. And it allowed for a nice little breeze to help cool off when I was out at my CBUs. Other than that, got my route inspection done on Friday. Went as normal as possible. And my vehicle still hasn't been fixed for the backup camera, so still waiting on that. My package pickup for my business finally did another drop for their clothing line, so they kind of killed us this week with one day was 350, another day was 250, Friday was 450 packages sent out. So dealt with that, got them all their bags back. And then other than that, it's been a smooth week. Not too bad. They moved up our start times on Saturday to 7:30 now instead of 8. So we sat around for about 15, 20 minutes on Saturday waiting for the clerks to finish up with all the packages. So smooth week. Not too bad. It was nice. Didn't get too sunburnt or anything. How about you, Bill? How was your week?
Well, let me start off by saying, James, I'm sorry to hear that cat broke off your tip. It must have been painful. And we pray for your speedy recovery.
Just the tip.
Just a tip. And another week of recuperation, and I'm busy with the mailings that we got going out to all the state presidents, vice presidents, the DRs, and the ADRs. 4 letters of consideration from myself, Kristen, James, Toasty, and went out and got all the stamps, the envelopes, and printed them all off. Still have a little editing to do on yours there, Toasty.
Mhm.
There's a hidden message in Toasty, so don't miss that, folks. If you don't catch it, he'll explain it to you later because I was so busy reading punctuation and everything, I didn't even see it, but it's cute, not to say the least. And just got done Friday night into Saturday, and Saturday night into Sunday with 2 different grandsons sleeping over and a good old time. And they're just cute little buggers, and that makes life all worth it. How about you, Kristen? How was your week?
It was a week. Yeah, Monday. Well, Monday was Monday. It was really interesting Monday because Amazon pulled in and the guy walked in with 1 package. We're like, huh? We're like, there's gotta be another truck. And yeah, about 8:30, the second truck, which should have been the first truck, rolled in with 5, 6, 7 pallets for the entire office. And come to find out, I guess the driver was tired, so he radioed back to dispatch and they told him he could pull over and take a nap. Hence why our Amazon was late. So they only broke down 2 of the skids for the main zip code, and that was it. So we left, and then when we came back, they had everything else broken down for those that wanted to take second trips, which I'm really glad I took the biggest. I only took 10 packages, but they were the biggest packages because I had 128 scans on Monday total. Tuesday, I had 167. That was the Mondayest Tuesday after a non-holiday I've ever had. In all honesty, that's how my week went. If package was light, mail was heavy. If mail was light, packages were heavy all week. So got through that and got my K-Day yesterday. So just getting around the house, getting stuff prepared for next weekend. My weekend away from absolutely everything. Woohoo. And yeah, go back to work for 3 days and then I'll be taking off, heading down to Ohio for incarceration next weekend. So you guys won't have me on here next week, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I have no control over what may happen with the guys. Oh, that was my week.
Are you saying that I should stay off the air next week?
No, I won't be on air, so y'all are on your own. I'm apologizing to the listeners now.
All right. Well, we're going to have fun next week. Hopefully, we'll have more interesting topics to talk about like we do this week. Now, we have to start off on a sad note. We have information that 2 supervisors have passed away due to heat-related illnesses caused by route inspections in postal vehicles without air conditioning. This is on the heels of carriers dying, on the heels of people dying in this heat that aren't postal employees. Now we have supervisors, we have managers, their own dying in this heat. And management still will not do anything to fix the problem. I'm guessing their response to this was, we provide heat illness prevention program training. What do you guys think? Do you think they're actually going to do something now that management is starting to pass away from the heat?
Well, from what I'm seeing, OSHA's getting involved, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Well, James, I have to argue with you because that was a DRT out of PA District 1 said we spend millions on education. And
Yeah.
since management is the one educating the carriers, I don't understand why they weren't paying attention to the conditions and the signs of heat prostration and heat stroke. I don't understand. I mean, are they treating their management like cattle now?
You know what the saying is, it all rolls downhill.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We have.
For me, it was the thing of them being in that truck all day, not being used to it, because you can build up some type of tolerance usually.
Mm-hmm.
Being in the heat most of the time, you know what to do, you know where to take your breaks, you know when you're feeling it. Being a supervisor, you're inside the AC all day. You go into that back of that truck, and it's it's hotter inside the back of the truck because there's no airflow back there. Yeah, I could even turn the fan to them; it still just blows hot air from the dash over to them. And then going and finishing the inspection, going inside to air conditioning is a shock to the system. It's you're supposed to take your time to cool back down. You're not supposed to just immediately go from 100 to 60, and that can cause devastation to your body when it comes to your health, when it comes to trying to cool off and reconfigure your body temperature.
Just like a lot of
Well,
us, the supervisors probably are not aware of the fact that they're sitting in the back of that easy bake oven and all of a sudden they stop sweating and they say, oh, well, must not be so hot. Well, that's one of your first signs that you're in trouble
Mhm.
when you stop sweating. And you can put cold packs on your wrists or behind your legs or inside your groin area and the back of your neck to cool down. But you need medical help at that point.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And yes, I'm not a fan of management, but I don't want any of them to die either.
No,
No.
nobody deserves to lose their life over something like that.
Mail. Over to mail.
Yeah.
And unlike management, we send our condolences to the family of these two supervisors that passed away. Nobody should have to do this. Nobody should have to suffer through this. Carrier, management, nobody. These are two human beings that were probably ordered to do the route inspections on the hottest days of the year when they can do a route inspection any time of the year. They don't have to do them in the heat of the summer. They could do them in the fall. They can do them in the winter when it's cooler out. We all know these trucks. The Postal Service has had them since the 80s, the late 80s. How is it that even now, with all the technology that we have, all the information that we have, all the computer spreadsheets that we have, that management cannot understand how hot it gets inside these trucks? The management cannot understand how these carriers keep dying and how these supervisors keep dying because of the heat. 1987 was when the first LLV rolled off the production line. 1987. And you're telling me that almost 40 years later, we still don't understand that it's an easy bake oven at management level? It just baffles me at how stupid these people can be.
And since we have such accurate GPS systems incorporated in our vehicles as well as the scanners, what is the need to do this at this time of year? And if you're going to do it this time of year, guess what? Get the carrier in the truck first thing in the morning, go out there, let a sub case up the route while the carrier drives the route with the supervisor in there. I mean, have consideration for your people, folks.
Yeah, unfortunately, they do not. We all know that. And
They're
it
all just
shows
numbers.
even more. Yeah.
You know, beat the heat. Keep it moving. No stationary events.
I'm sorry, they died. That's why they were stationary. They probably write them up for that too.
Oh yeah, they'd probably try to have an investigative interview with them too. Send them a express mail. Hey, you're having an investigative interview. Wonder if it'll be
I'm
delivered
sorry.
to the funeral home.
Yeah, did you put a leave slip in to die on the job? This is an EP, definitely. I mean, that's how cold-hearted they are.
Yeah,
They don't give a rat's ass about us, and now we know they don't even care about their management team.
I've said this from the beginning. These these supervisors and managers will fall on the sword for their POOM and for their regional managers. The POOM will fall on the sword for the regional manager. The regional manager will fall on the sword for the national manager. But when push comes to shove, the person above them is going to throw their ass under the bus
Yep.
In a heartbeat.
just to protect themselves. This episode's only gonna get more fun from here.
Oh boy.
My cat
The
just
next,
knocked down my drawer. You
the
heard that?
next topic I have, we've gotten notification that they are now testing Rex input activity editing. Some managers are getting permission to change the scans that carriers input, whether it's for the carrier or against the carrier. Could this lead to abuse? Could a POOM instruct the manager, hey, you're getting way too many of this or the other? And how many times are we going to get talks for the benchmarking that they're doing with it? Now, in the paperwork that I received on the stand-up talk about it, and this is only in select offices right now, but if it's in select offices, it's eventually going to come to your office. The things that they can edit right now is your start load and end load. They can change the times on them. They can delete them. They can add them. Another one is postage dues. If you do a postage due and you put it in the scanner and they go, well, that's above the number that you're supposed to have, so we're going to just delete that one you did, even if you had a postage due. Management could do that. If you had a postage due and forgot it, they could add it in if that was the case as well. Another one is your rural reach customer. When you do a rural reach, that's supposed to be 5 minutes added into your evaluation average. Stamp stock sales. If you sell one stamp or you sell 100, could that turn around and be, oh, you sold one stamp? Well, it's not a stamp stock sale. Oh, it's got to be a roll. Oh, you sold a roll. Well, we don't provide you stamp stock, so you can't have the stamp stock scan. There's a possibility of that being used. And the last one on the list was your flats and letters, WSS or box holder inputs. They could delete those. Your guys' thoughts?
Oh, I'm not worried. I trust management 100%, especially where it says that, we have to sign off on it. Well, if you're never aware of it, how are you going to sign off on it and find out whether or not that, they put it through with a forged signature from the carrier? Again, no transparency. You're looking at the few things that we do have that we can get credit for: start, end load, the postage due shortage. I mean, I haven't seen a postage due short, in so long, because the clerks don't even process them in our office. The flats WSS and the letters WSS, they're keen on those because of the fact that they don't want to give you the credits or the box holders for that fact. But the WSS, they've been hawking those ever since Rex came into being. But yeah, I 100%. The management has my faith in them not to do anything shady.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to come down
Yeah.
to if you have good management that'll actually do it correctly, then you're not going to have too much to worry about. But there's so many managers out there, the ones that are harassing, carriers on authorized dismounts and unscanned parcels already. This is going to be even more for them to harass everyone on. Needs this, and if I remember correctly, at mid states, didn't our current union president state that he didn't want something like this?
Supposedly.
Supposedly, yep.
But again, this goes into the management will do anything and everything they can to lower your evaluations. And this is right here. And like somebody said in the chat, managers adding lunches to carrier time when carrier never took a lunch. If management is editing these for carriers and the carriers find out about it, you damn well know I'm going to file a grievance for falsification of government documents. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's the Rex inputs, your time clocks. I had a carrier reach out to me the other day and tell me that when they were doing their second trip and they went to PM casing, they accidentally hit the Rex activity summary and it said they were already clocked out. Management had clocked them out. With their EIN, using their barcode, they used another scanner to clock them out. They will be filing a grievance Monday morning on it. Now imagine if that carrier gotten into an accident.
Mm-hmm.
They're clocked out on the scanner. Management will use that against them as, well, they were clocked out. Why were they out on the route when they were clocked out working off the clock? Even though the paper 4240 is still the time standard and they hadn't signed out on that yet, they had been clocked out on the electronic 4240 by management because management wanted to go home. So
Well, it's also it's going to be the same managers that you have that are falsifying the mapping.
Mm-hmm.
The same managers that are doing the mapping without the carriers and doing it with these offices where carriers haven't touched their DPM and LTM in months. It's going to be the same management that's going to be messing around with their scans. So it's just one more thing that once it comes down to more spread out, that we're going to have to be vigilant of paying attention to.
yeah. And not to mention, don't forget all the offices where management's bullying and harassing carriers as well. They may do the mapping with the carriers, but they're going to bully and harass them to get them out of the office quicker. You know, they won't let them do more than 5 minutes of into shift time, even though that's wrong. Stuff like that. Or you have a manager who won't allow talking on the workroom floor, won't let you do mapping, won't let you do anything that helps build your evaluation up. You know, thinking 22-minute load times for city carriers, guess what? Now it's going to be 22 minutes of load time for rural carriers when they can edit the start load and end load times. And as we saw with that email of turning off the AC, management is looking for every minute they can steal from carriers.
I don't know, my office has been a meat locker the last few days. It's actually nice to go load to warm up. Well, the
Oh, they turned it.
the AC
See, you can't
unit,
please you either way. You know,
the AC unit that controls the management office and the front lobby is not working, and they haven't gotten repaired yet. So let's crank up the one in the back of the office to help, you know, cool off the front of the office. Meanwhile, we'll freeze the carriers out. Yeah,
that's because they're using the ex-wife thermostat.
exactly. It's frigid.
Well, there's still more on
Let's get to the
managerial
juicy
harassment.
part. Let's get to the juicy parts. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I've been hearing this from several offices now that they are now attacking delivering to the door. They are now getting carriers to show them the packages they're going to deliver to the door and management's going to decide whether they can be delivered at the mailbox or not.
And what happens when the mailbox is full? What happens when the parcel lockers are all taken and they haven't been checked in 3 days?
What happens if management doesn't know who has the security box on at the
Mm-hmm.
curb or not?
Because that
You
that
know,
bottle of pills cannot fit in there.
not all of them. No, there are some that you can finagle it in, but not all of them. No.
I'm
Yeah,
not paid to finagle.
this is just more managerial harassment, just like stationary events, standing out there watching you load to see if they can find a way to make you more efficient at loading, and other money saving options, you know. And this is carrier harassment. It's benchmarking because they're using the number of door deliveries that you have to determine whether you need a talking to about door deliveries or not. And I have yet to hear a peep out of National about all these things. Things they
Yep.
shouldn't be doing, but they are. Where are you, Don? I know you're listening.
Oh, they're busy in the middle of contract, so they have more important things to worry about. They don't have time for day-to-day issues. Okay, they're the issues we deal with day to day.
And the
I'm
thing is that
sorry,
it
Mike.
really won't even matter because I mean, let's say you take, James, you said you average about 100 packages a day, right?
Yep.
Okay. Let's say you took all 100 to the door. Sure, it'll boost your evaluation because of the park point, the walk distance, everything like that. But you're going to have to continually do that through the entire rest of your route career in order to
Mm-hmm.
keep that evaluation. So it sure it'll boost you right now and it may, they may have to cut off of you, but you're going to have to do that every single day. You're going to have to do that all 300 and what, 5, 6 days that are in the delivery averages?
300, 301, 302.
301 and 302. I was off by 5.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the whole point. Like the way I see the system is it kind of takes out those that were trying to game the system before. It's going to have these averages. So sure, you can take them all to the door. You're going to have to do that for the rest of the time that you're on that route. But if you do what you're supposed to do, hey, it doesn't fit in here. Let me go take it to the front door. You're going to get the front door credit for that day because, they haven't checked their box in 2-3 days and they had a bark box in there that blocked the rest of the mailbox. Okay. That's a once every few weeks that happens. It's not an everyday occurrence. But it's again going back to no training on RRECS, not only for us but for management either. They don't understand this.
The whole point behind Rex was to take out 99% of the human factor in evaluations. On one side, it would keep carriers honest, keep them from cooking their edit books, keep them from doing things they shouldn't be doing on the route. On the other side, it kept management from stuffing trailers during during the mail count and holding mail back at the plants so that way it wouldn't be delivered to the offices until after the mail count to cut evaluations on carriers. Plus, it gave us all these scans for these packages that we were delivering, which was a benefit to us. It's not our fault that Amazon ships stuff that'll fit in the mailbox with their carriers and ships all the big stuff with the Postal Service. It's not our fault that we get dropped tons of packages that barely won't fit in the mailbox. But yet now they're punishing us for having a system that management cannot fully control.
Yep.
And it looks like they're slowly, inch by inch, as the union gives them that inch, they're working on taking that mile. And that brings us to another inch that's going to take a mile. That's the Rural Route Optimization Program. Now, luckily I took the time to read through all of this stuff. So I'm going to go through the points that I found in the PowerPoint presentation that they give on training for the rural route optimization. Supposedly it's got a resequencing algorithm, but we don't know what's in the algorithm. And I'm guaranteeing you we won't see the details either, because it'll be just as redacted as the Rex engineering report. Everything listed on doing the rural route optimization is management only up to the finalization of the route. There is really no carrier input until the end. When you do line of travel changes, parent-child routes, people with blue collection boxes, and inter-unit deliveries will be excluded from rural route optimization. When they're doing it, supposedly, left turns, U-turns, and right turns and road segments could be blocked from the program to help mitigate issues that could be a safety hazard. Supposedly, management is to verify that it is a safe and drivable route. But as we know, management probably won't take the time to figure out whether it's safe, because management's idea, at least from that email, was, why should we care about a carrier's safety? And the other reason why I say that this is an issue is I have right turns on my route, and my electronic 4003 that comes with the rural route optimization program, which is our line of travel manager. All my right turns say turn left. So this program already can't tell the difference between right and left. So I don't know how it can actually do a really good routing if it doesn't know the difference between right and left. The route will have to be remeasured. It does not say in the training that it has to be a certified odometer, but our contract, the M38 and the PO603 all say it must be used with a vehicle with a certified odometer, not just any vehicle, unless that vehicle has passed a calibration measurement, which is a known distance that matches the odometer reading. So that would be mile markers on an interstate would be a great judge of whether your odometer is actually a certified odometer or not, because they have those mile markers on there. Management must drive the route that the resequencing program does, check for traffic control points, as well as other hazards in the new line of travel. The carrier does have the option to ride with management in a non-pay status for the remeasurement under current remeasurement standards, but they could change that, especially with a new contract. Submitting the changes only requires the carrier name in electronic form. There is no option for a carrier to protect themselves from management falsifying that they did it with the carrier, just like mapping. The slide for confirmation in the training packet shows that the route that they're demonstrating got 10 extra left turns in the new mapping that they did. Think about that. Left turns are one of the most dangerous things a mail carrier can do. That is a normal driving procedure. And yet their new route that they show in the training procedure has 10 extra left turns. After confirming the change, management must map the traffic control points. Again, carriers must be present for this, but will management have them there? There's two types of routes. There's the resequence and non-optimal, also known as too expensive. Training slides show all the optimized routes in their demonstration route cut the carrier's mileage by 5 miles. Now, under current REX rules, that could be up to 5 to 6 minutes cut daily, which could be 30 to 40 minutes off the weekly evaluation, which could drop you an hour on just that training route. Page 72 in the slides does show and carrier bolded. However, how many carriers have done mapping in the last 3 months with their management religiously? Q&A section on resequencing even admits that it cuts your evaluation. Routes can be rejected for resequencing if the user / manager rejects all route resequencing that the computer does. Contractually, management has the right to alter the route at any time, and the carrier should be kept informed of any changes. And remember, it's the word should, which is a possibly word. It's not shall, not will, or a definite word. However, when management alters the route, carrier is required, remember, that's a definite word, required, to be present during the following: completing REX maintenance before starting resequencing, which is your mapping. You're required to be present for that. Completing the physical remeasurement during resequencing. If the carrier asks to be present during this, you are required to include them in an unpaid status per Article 30 of the contract. Plotting TCPs when finalizing the confirmed resequenced route after completing resequencing. Now, the last tidbit of information I have is I did find an error in the Q&A, and it said that subs get paid on the 4240. No, subs don't get paid on the 4240 for extra work. They get paid green card time, 1314A. So what are your guys' thoughts on the rural route optimization program? Kristen, we'll start with you.
Well, I haven't had a chance to actually read any of it yet. Been busy. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I know I can't see how they would, optimize my route in any form, but who knows what's going to happen. And I've been hearing through the social webs about people whose routes, when it coming back and it's adding U-turns and it's adding left-hand turns and it's taking them down roads they didn't travel before, it's ridiculous. I mean, if anybody knows our routes, it's us. And if we know there's a safer way to run our route, usually at that time, once we figure it out, we could go in and make edit book adjustments to change that. I know with one of the routes in my office, when I first came into this office, why are we doing 2 U-turns right here, And I actually, when the regular who's on it now took it over, I made a suggestion to her on how it would make that route better in that one little section, that one road, instead of having 2 U-turns on that road, just do the one whole road at once. And we fixed it. We cleaned it up. It made it easier. It made it better, even though it was just that addition on that road. I've done the same on my old route. In my old office, there was a section, it was a funky U-turn that we had to do, and it's like, why can't we just come in on that road rather than U-turning in the middle of it? Because the way it lines up, we could come in that road and leave on that road. And eventually was changed because it made better sense. So, again, having a computer try to optimize a route for us, I don't see any pros and cons into it at all. I just think it's going to be, for most part, it's not going to be a great thing.
Toasty, your thoughts?
Just like the SNDCs, RRECS, and every other program they try to implement at first, it's going to crash and burn because of poor execution. It's not going to be ready. They said some people are saying this is, they're being chosen as the pilot program when it's already been piloted before and it was a disaster, and they're trying to repilot it again. I don't see, unless it was with carrier input somehow, this being a good thing. I don't see this, like, I can understand like wanting to do this. I can understand wanting to make them safer. If it was like what UPS did with, like I think it was 10 years ago, trying to figure out, okay, let's design a study. Let's see if right-hand turns will be more fuel efficient, this and that. I can understand something like that, doing a study first, coming out with the results, and then implementing something. But we haven't seen other results. I mean, the results that we've seen are from other people telling us like, hey, we were part of the pilot and it, made me turn left across an interstate, or it took me down alleyways instead of down the street. It's not going to be a good rollout because they haven't worked out the kinks. They keep trying to implement these things and then work out the kinks later as they're trying to force carriers to do all these things that are still wrong. Bill?
Let me make this plain and simple. Even though contractually they are allowed to do this, this is nothing more than a money grab at a post office because they're going up against weak leadership. If we had stronger leadership, this would not be an issue that would just be gleaned over. The scariest part about this whole situation is, James pointed out, 90% of it is geared towards management training. Folks, if we haven't learned anything from Rex in regards to management training, from the supervisors, the floor super manager, the POOM, postmaster, DRs, the district managers, post office, they don't train their people. So how do you expect this to just be introduced and just silkenly flow its merry way down there, optimize the routes, make everybody happy, everybody is going to be safe, nobody's going to lose money? Oh, this is a money grab, and we're going to be dependent on management who were not trained for Rex and won't be trained in Rex. And trust me, if my office is indicative of what most of this country's like, they have no idea of how to grasp the concept of rural route optimization. They're going to do exactly what their district managers tell them. Plain and simple. This is a money grab, and it's because they know they're going up against a weak union. In the statement.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And you have to think also, why is management doing this? Is exactly that. It is a money grab. When they first brought Rex online, it was 6 scans only. Just do the 6 scans. Don't worry about anything else. Just do the 6 scans. Why? Because they knew the rest of the scans were money for us. They didn't want us to know the other scans. They didn't want us to use the other scans. Now you have multiple factors here that we've just found this week of management taking money away, because those carriers, the 66% of carriers, started building their evaluations back up because they learned what the inputs were other than the 6 scans. They learned what they were missing on their evaluations because management wasn't trained. The regional rep here at both Mid-States 2022 or 2023 and Mid-States 2024 admitted they don't train their management. He admitted it, straightforward and bluntly admitted that they don't train them. And yet we're supposed to trust that management's got our best interests in mind. We're supposed to trust that management has our safety in mind. We're supposed to trust that they know how to do these programs. It's unfortunate to us that we have an employer that is so incompetent to what they're doing that we have to learn all this stuff on our own. And then we have a leadership, supposedly, well, we'll call them elected national union representatives, that allow management to make these changes without so much as a peep. Well, here's the information for you. Well, we'll just put this out there. You can find it on the computer on the website if you're a dues paying member. You know, to me, it just breeds we're supporting management. But I guess that goes back to the article in the national magazine where President Don Maston actually said in May of 2024's newsletter, the magazine that was sent out, he actually said, we need to explore creating more PTS, which has some real benefits for the Postal Service. He's also talked about how Delivering for America is the best plan for the Postal Service. He never says benefits for the rural carriers. It's always benefits for the Postal Service. Well, here's more benefits for the Postal Service. Here's the Postal Service harassing, belittling, and torturing carriers over inputs into a scanner. Most often, legitimate inputs into the scanner. This has to stop.
Now, wouldn't it benefit the post office to have on the ground employees, rural carriers, city carriers, clerks, that are treated with dignity, fairness, and respect and enjoy coming to work and therefore are more productive? Wouldn't that benefit the post office?
Don't forget, they're not stressed out all the time, so they're not going to be calling in sick all the time either. Therefore, reducing sick hours and sick leave.
So are
And
you
then
suggesting that we work with
you know,
management?
you might able to retain leave replacements so regular carriers can get their time off that they would like to have off without having to put up a fight, and leave replacements will enjoy coming to work and do a job well done and learn in a better environment. Again, all this would, wait a minute, benefit the post office?
Yep, because they're also wasting thousands, if not millions of dollars on training these RCAs and CCAs and PSCs and clerks, where they go into the office and they say, this is how we're treated? Yeah, no, not for 17, 18, 19, $20 an hour. I'm not doing this. And they leave. So then we have to train another one. And the cycle keeps continuing in these toxic environments. But if you have a healthy environment, one where you tell them how to do the job, they do it well, they're rewarded for their good work and doing well, you get to keep them.
Oh
Let's
my.
not forget the millions they waste in training management who doesn't pay attention, doesn't have the ability to retain the information, doesn't put that information into practice, doesn't follow the contract, ends up with billions of dollars of grievances. So I abhorred by Kristen's suggestion that we cooperate with management and have a benevolently ambient atmosphere in the post office where people work together for a common goal to get the mail and the parcels out the door in a timely fashion, and we look out for each other, because It's not in the interest of the post office. They're there to cut money. They're there to cut expenses. They don't care who they step on to do that. And that's a shame
Speaking
because I would love to have a work atmosphere where we did work together. And you could bend the contract here and there to get a situation resolved, whether it's for management or whether it's for the carrier or for the clerks or whoever. But you could have that atmosphere say, look, I did a solid for you here. You got to do me a solid the next time. Okay. Okay. Now, no, I'm not doing 2 solids for management without getting one for me. Okay. No, we're not doing that because when you go down that path, they expect it all the time. Wouldn't it be nice if they actually, A, were educated and trained properly, B, do and upheld the contract despite what they're threatened with from their superiors above, C, had the common courtesy to treat you better than cattle? Wouldn't that be amazing? You imagine how much work could get done when you're not arguing and instead you're working together? That's an amazing concept.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't you know everything that they talk about, whether it's DeJoy or national officers? It's all about the business of the Postal Service. It's all about the business aspect of things. It's all about being a profitable business. It's a service, sir. Get it right.
But James, what you fail to understand is that they're looking out for the long-term success of the service business, okay? Because without the long-term health of the United States Postal Service, you won't have a job to complain about. So if they don't do their due diligence, it won't matter.
Well, if they were doing their due diligence, they would be honoring the contracts, honoring the MOUs, honoring the step fours, and actually taking care of the people that actually make the money for the Postal Service, which are, at the end of the day, the carriers, the mail handlers, the clerks. As you said before, we can run a post office without management. Management can't run a post office without us. And I'm not saying just us as the people here in the podcast or the people listening to it. I'm talking about the crafts as a whole.
And we have demonstrated that time and time again in our office. And it's plain as the nose in your face. I mean, we had a situation where we had 4 down routes, and the subs are the ones that took care of the routes, cased them up, segregated them into portions, feed them up. Some of the regulars helped out and everything was taken care of because supervisor had no clue what to do. If the supervisor has no idea, trust me, a city postmaster who came to our office wouldn't even have an inkling as to how to approach that situation with 4 open routes. But the carriers did, and the carriers came together, and the carriers got the job done. And when we told management what we were doing and how we were doing, you know what they said? Whatever you need to do to get it out. We don't care. As long as it gets done, they didn't care. Because
Yep.
they were inept to the point of not knowing how to handle a situation such as that. Did they get on the phone and call in subs that weren't there? Did they call other offices looking for subs? No, they did none of that. They just sat there with their thumbs up their asses trying to figure out how to get out of this predicament. And the subs are in our office turned around and handled it like the pros that they are.
Yeah.
Except for
I
one sub,
mean,
but I'm not
you
going to mention
know,
him by name.
shit rolls downhill when it comes to these times. But in order to make it better, it needs to start from the bottom and go up. It's not going to get any better if you don't treat your on the floor employees better than how you're being treated. It needs to work from the bottom up. to make things better. Because it's only going to get worse from the top down.
I'm looking at this, optimization program, and like I said, I gleaned over it, and I'm looking at the management training, and I'm just shaking my head, going, "You kidding me? This is above the head of every supervisor I have in my office. This is going to be so confusing that they have to take and allocate the time to go through all this material." My supervisor has not even looked at the RCAM yet,
I don't even think mine knows it
and
exists.
and the thing of it is, our new steward brought it to her attention. I don't have hours every night to do this. Well, what are you doing during the day when we're out on the routes? I mean,
Too
hate to
busy.
tell you,
I know what
we're
they're
on the
doing.
street.
They're too busy sending reports to the POOM every 5 minutes that the POOM requests.
Well, ours is usually getting either Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, or Starbucks.
Ours just
They're
isn't there.
Ours have the three most deliveries by Uber for those three stores.
Kristen, yours isn't there. Are you talking just mentally or physically or both?
Both. Nobody else can get a day off, but, Postmaster hasn't been there in a week. Supervisor, well, she takes her time off too. Or when she has to be the covering for the postmaster and we have a 204B at the desk, then they hide. Whoever's playing postmaster hides out in the office. I don't know. My postmaster hasn't talked to me in weeks, so even when she is there.
That's all right. My postmaster doesn't want to talk to me. Not since I offered for her to take my route out. If she knows how to do it better than I can.
Mhm.
Well, that's all I had on this week. So
Yeah, this route optimization program, it's for a lack of a better word, it is a clusterfuck from the word go, because of the fact that, again, it's dependent on management. Well, Rex training was dependent on management. We see how well that worked out, right? And
Yeah.
despite the bell curve, 66% of the routes went down. Whether they went down $1 or they went down $16,000, they went down. And everybody was supposed to be trained. James pointed out the 6 scans was the only thing that they knew that was being enforced from district. They didn't care about the other scans because they weren't going to be paying for them if you didn't do it. But we have to educate ourselves. We have to educate the craft, our fellow carriers, and make sure that they know what goes in that scanner goes into your wallet. That's how you're going to get paid. So if you miss a scan, guess what? Don't have a beer tonight because you can't afford it. You missed the scan. You missed 2 scans, you can't get Starbucks tomorrow morning on the way to work.
Yeah.
That's how it works, folks. If you don't put the work in, you're not getting paid. And if your wallet doesn't have any lure for you in regards to how you go on vacation, afford a car, take care of your family, pay for your mortgage, I don't understand what would. I can't comprehend. I've been working since I was 12 years old. And I've never understood people that, just don't grasp the concept. If you don't do for yourself, nobody's going to do it for you. Like I said, I talked to a young lady last night, 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday, and, she was surprised that I called up. The Bill May called her at 10 o'clock at night. I just, yeah, it's Bill. And the fact of the matter is, this lady followed is one of the few people I've ever heard say this. I take my EMA and I put it in a separate account because that's my money. That's my money to keep this vehicle running. It's for the gasoline. It's for the repairs. It's for the transmission. She's actually got enough money saved up that she's going to be able to pay her way as a non-delegate. the national convention in Reno. That's what you have to do with that money. That money is like your overtime. It's not guaranteed in regards to you're going to have it all the time. And you can't dip into it because when you need it and it's not there, oh, well, I can't go to work and all this. Well, folks, bank it. Bank that money so that you have it when you need it.
Yeah, you never know when something's going to fail on that vehicle.
Yep.
You never know when that vehicle's going to just say, I've had enough of this rough rural route, and kicks the bucket, and you have to go find a new one. And that EMA
Yep.
money may be the only money you have to get that next vehicle. And the next vehicle is definitely not cheap anymore.
No,
Yep.
it is not.
Yeah, the stop and go style of mail delivery, that'll wreck your transmission, it'll wreck your engine, it'll destroy your brakes. The rough roads that some of us go down, that'll ruin your tires. There's so much that goes into it.
Don't forget your suspension
One of
too.
one of the smartest things I ever did when I got my first mini van put on the route was I got an extra transmission cooler put on there.
Mm-hmm.
People would say, well, how many miles you have? 167,000. Well, what's your transmission like? It's fine. Extra cooler putting on there saved me time, money, everything. I mean, it was well worth the investment. I believe I put like $400 into it.
And on top of that, if you use that vehicle for other things like towing, it helps with that as well too. I used to install those. I used to install those coolers when I worked for U-Haul for people when they were putting in a trailer hitch when I was younger.
I'm always surprised, because of the fact that people get a passenger vehicle and say, "Oh, I can use that for mail delivery." Yes, but it's not designed for the rigors of mail delivery. It's not designed for 600 stops a day. The getting stuck in the mud, getting stuck in the snow, getting chased by rabid dogs. Folks. I mean, you have to have the vehicle equipped, to meet the needs of the route. The same way, I have a fit trying to understand how you have a 5-speed matrix for some of these rural routes out in the middle of Iowa, Kansas, Oklahoma, and where you don't have potholes, you have ruts, and the ruts are big enough to swallow farm animals. You're supposed to maintain a drive speed matrix on those. Are you kidding me?
I mean, in Michigan, we got potholes that swallow fire trucks. So,
Oh, well, yeah, I was once outside of the highlands of Texas, and driving on this elevated section of highway, and I'm looking at it, says, "Man, a pothole has a yellow filler in there." Well, it was a Volkswagen that fell in there. It's like, what the hell? That's a pothole, folks.
Mm-hmm.
and that's another thing that northern carriers have to worry about: rust.
Mhm.
Yes.
People down in Texas don't really have to worry about it unless you're up near the ocean, really. But up here in Michigan, Maine, your northern states, you're going to get rust because of salt. And that's another issue that you could have with your POV. Everything else could be perfectly fine on it, but your frame rusts out, and all of a sudden you're dragging the back end of your car because it just went plop onto the ground.
I'd pay to see that.
I had a
Hit the
friend whose
brakes.
car rusted out, and the car rusted out, and the left front tire decided to continue down the road while the car was dropped down on the left front corner of it, and the tire continued down the road a half a mile.
Uh, most of you aren't old enough to remember the days of the DJ5s where you had the holes through your floorboards. So every time you ran through the puddle, you got wet. If your brakes failed, you just stuck your foot through the floor and dragged it on the road till you slow down. Or you open your sliding door and it keeps going. It's like, oh,
Oh, you mean
didn't I have a door when I started today?
like the mattresses do?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's just amazing. And there's not enough room to get the door inside the vehicle. That's even funnier. Oh god, I saw that picture. I'm sitting there going, okay, yeah, here's the ultimate Tetris test. How do you fit this door back into its opening?
All right, guys, we ready to wind this down tonight?
Yep.
All right, you go first, Toasty.
All right. It seems that the weather's still keeping up. You know, the hurricanes, the tornadoes, the thunderstorms going on right now. Wear away those roads. Beware of those potholes that we're just talking about. Um, turn around, don't drown. It's still in the middle of summer, so stay hydrated. Um, make sure you take care of yourself. Take cooling breaks as you need them. Remember, safety depends on you and the training that you get, if you get it. Uh, be safe out there. Um, gearing up. We're just a little over a month away from National Convention, where we get to have a lot of fun and cause a lot of ruckus. So be safe out there. Have fun, guys.
James.
You know, we talk about this all the time, but the managerial mindset is take as much money as possible from the carriers, make them work longer hours for less money as much as possible. And the sad part is our union elected representatives are saying the same thing. To summarize, rural carriers have had it too good for too long. We're gearing up for national convention. It's time to tell them they've had it too good for too long by allowing management to treat rural carriers as if they're just numbers on a spreadsheet in a bell curve. I'm looking forward for national convention to seeing everybody there. Looking forward to working with Bill, Kristen, Toasty, and everybody else to enjoy the week of doing our crafts union duty of voting on resolutions, electing the new board, and going on into the next year. But we need your help there too. So get with us, help us. Let's get this going. Let's protect this craft because at the end of the day, we're all in this together.
Bill.
I'm past the point of frustration in regards to them rolling out program after program after program, and management is falling down on their job, their responsibility to be trained and retain this information, know what they're doing, because of the fact that it affects so many lives. And it's scary to me that they can continue to do this without letting one program settle, such as Rex, and be resolved. And it's even more frustrating that our union leadership has not demanded that Rex be refined to the point where it's acceptable to everybody, and before letting the post office step into another program. Like I said, this rural route optimization program is nothing but a money grab, and it's already yielded results where people are being put in the situations of danger making left-hand turns where they shouldn't be. Isn't it funny that when the LLVs came out, they upgraded to the FFVs because we had the extra window on the left in the cargo area so that you could make left-hand turns safer, more safely than they have in the past? Yet now they're going to reintroduce the left-hand turns back into routes, and we don't have the vehicle that is capable of giving us that sight. I've never driven the Metris, so I don't know their line of sights as well as an FFV, but It just doesn't seem very feasible that you're going to be safe either way, making a left-hand turn. I don't care how many windows you have, because of the fact that, like James said earlier, UPS came up with the idea of only making right-hand turns, even though they went greater distances to get to a delivery destination. It was safer for their drivers. It was safer for their vehicles and their cargo to do so. So why would you get into a situation where you're now putting us at risk even more? Worry about the heat that's killing people. Let's make left turns in situations where your ass is going to be hanging out there, and our asses are hanging out there every day on our routes, no matter what. But now they're going to jeopardize our health and safety doing this route optimization program. I just don't understand what your mindset is. With that in mind, do the best you can. If you have to take the package to the door, let them argue that. But you're entitled to that. It's called carrier discretion. Be safe, be professional, do it efficiently, hydrate, and can't stress that enough with all the deaths we're having now. And get home to your family, because you're the most important delivery of the day. I mean that with all my heart. I don't want to see anybody else show up on Facebook being injured or killed in the line of duty, because this job's not worth your life. Kristen?
Thank you, guys. It's been a week, and I'm curious on this route optimization stuff when it comes to start mapping in my office. I mean, I already have to make 2 U-turns on US 23. One of them is actually 5 lanes. What I do, because I have another side road right about where I turn around at, is I pull into that side road and come out like I'm sitting at the stop sign at that side road and make an actual left-hand turn to make sure that it's clear. Because like I said, I got 2 lanes north, 2 lanes south, and a turning lane in the middle. It's a dangerous spot. I know another carrier in my office, when he was an RCA, did end up in an accident on that, right in that spot there. So it's, be aware, and if an optimization does not look right to you and it's not going to be safe, definitely, talk to management and be like, no, that's not going to work. Because we as carriers know our routes the best. And we know what areas are safe and what aren't safe. And on that note, guys, make sure you stay hydrated. It is July. It's ungodful hot in in a lot of areas. Stay hydrated. Do what you got to do to stay cool. Take those breaks as needed. And the guys will be back next week. I will not be. And have a safe week, everybody. And, well, I won't see you next week, but everybody else will. Bye. Yeah, some things had to be edited out.
That was for your protection.
It was for everybody's protection.
That too, yeah.